Hi everyone, it's Amanda. How are you all doing? It's Saturday the 6th of October 2018 and it's pouring with rain here in good old Bournemouth, and I think it will be probably for the whole day. So it's a day just to hunker down. I like days like this actually. They give you a good excuse to sort of get on with things that you need to be getting on with inside. What do I want to say? A few things today. Checking in, seeing how you all are. And I hear it's World Dragon Day. I hadn't realised that. Anyway, dragon lovers out there, hello, welcome. Slightly strange really, because I'm thinking of having an art sale soon, because you know I've got so many pieces of art and I've only got so many walls, and I was actually thinking today of one of the pieces that might go into the sale will be one that's linked into a dragon, this one, okay? So I don't know whether it's for sale yet, to be perfectly honest, but how ironic that I was thinking, yes, I might just pass that on to somebody else, and then I go onto Facebook and discover it's World Dragon Day. Maybe I meant to keep it, I don't know. It wasn't dragons that I wanted to talk to you about today though. There's a few things that I just wanted to mention. The first thing is it just me, or does the world feel completely and utterly bonkers today? Completely bonkers. And it's so beautifully expressed by something that's just happened in the art world. Do you know what I'm talking about? Which story? There is an artist, a UK artist called Banksy, and he is quite an enigmatic figure. We keep talking about the shadow at the moment, don't we? Well, he lives in the shadows. By that, I mean that his identity isn't properly revealed. A lot of people have an idea of who he is, but he's never come out and said, this is me, I'm Banksy, I paint these. He paints murals on the side of buildings in particular. But anyway, today, or maybe it was yesterday, a piece of his artwork sold for £1.3 million in Sotheby's in London. Nothing that unusual about that, apart from the fact that the moment that it sold, it basically self-combusted. So it started to just shred itself and it was no more. I guess that was the whole point of it. So you buy something for 1.3 million and then you watch in front of your eyes as it explodes or just shreds itself. Over and above, my God, what could you have done with that 1.3 million? Maybe it went to charity. I'll be charitable, but I don't know if it did. How bonkers is that? There's also almost like a unique brilliance in that. There's a part of me that just thinks, wow, that's so uniquely brilliant and bonkers, I love it. There's another part of me that just thinks, what? So that's going on. And on a more serious note, there are some really shocking revelations at the moment in the news. What Metatron is saying to me is that some of the names that we are going to be hearing about increasingly as we get into the November month, the 11th month, really this last part of the year. If you think about an 11 year, it was always about exposing the darkness. Well, it's going to start getting real. And some of the names that you're going to be hearing about are going to be shocking. And one of the names that's out there right now in the media, won't name him, but it's out there freely available for anybody to look at. Leading sportsman, top of his game, international star, is in the middle of a lawsuit for sexual crimes. My jaw actually dropped when I read it. It was like, but that's the point. And that's what Metatron's saying. I've no idea whether this guy's guilty or not. Innocent till proven guilty as far as I'm concerned. The truth hopefully will out. But what I'm being told is the names are going to get bigger. So be prepared for that. Also, rather than be rocked by it, I mean, we will be rocked by it, but also try to see it as actually proof and evidence that this ascension journey that we've all been on for a number of years now, and the world has been on for a number of years, is starting to produce results. Because these big names are only going to be exposed as a result of all of the groundwork that's been done by the everyday people of this world who've maybe had something happen to them, whether a sexual crime or anything else, and who have found the strength within themselves to put their hand up and say no more, okay? And firstly, it's almost like a congratulations and a well done to anybody that's been able to do that. This isn't just to do with sexual crime, it's to do with any sort of injustice, to be perfectly honest. But there's so many people who've been like ground troops, basically, who have been, and it's been, no, there's been no thanks for it a lot of the time. It's just been in and out of court situation, legal situations, fighting for justice, but, you know, and taking its toll in terms of families and health. But they've done it for a multitude of different reasons. And what it's done is it's chipped away until we get to a tipping point, which is what Metatron is saying. This is a tipping point that we're now at, where we're going to see bigger names exposed. And he's saying, try not to be shocked by that, okay? He's not telling me what those names are. I could hazard a guess at a few of them, but I'm not going to. It's not my place to do that. It'll come out in divine timing in the way that it's meant to. But it's just a heads up on that, really. Another analogy today, just to help explain this crazy energy, is, you know, well, you do know, those of you that watch me regularly, my last video is talking about Soft Cell, my favourite band, and it's funny, thank you, a few of you have written to me actually, or written something on YouTube, and it's like, yeah, I loved them too. I've even had people saying, yeah, I'm dreaming of them now, or I can't stop playing their songs, so it's funny. Spirit works in mysterious ways, guys. Spirit works in mysterious ways. It's not always just the white perfect feather landing at your feet. It can be in songs or, you know, strange things such as Mr. Mark Armand. But anyway, the point is, why I'm bringing it up again, is that when I was a teenager, I was in the fan club. And the fan club was called Cellmates. So I was a cellmate, okay? And I just thought, it made me laugh today because I was just thinking about it a bit more, and I was thinking, yeah, it's like we are all cellmates in terms of the truest sense of the word, literally being in a cell. And what Metatron is saying today is, he's saying, okay, if I gave you the key, if I dangled the key in front of you now and gave it to you, what would you do with it? So if you're in your cell, either because you've been placed in there by somebody else or something else or society, or, as is often the case, you have placed yourself in your own cell, you know, self-destructive behaviours, patterns that we can't get out of. What would you do if I gave you the key right now? And what he's showing me, with no judgment and no disappointment, is that a lot of us would do one of two things. And they would be the majority of us. The first way would be to put the key into your pocket. It would be to put the key in your pocket and wait for the right time. When is the right time? Never. It's never going to be the right time. There's only ever the present time. So the first lot of us would basically put the key into our pocket. The second group of us wouldn't know what to do with the key and would be looking around the other cells in the prison being the old matrix, basically, the 3D paradigm that we're all trying to escape out of and evolve from. We're moving out of that 3D materialistic, shallow world to a world based on fifth dimensional qualities of love, companionship, unity consciousness, etc. We'd be given the key, we wouldn't know what to do with it. We'd be looking around at everybody else in the prison thinking, okay, I'm just going to see what so-and-so's doing, just see what my friend's doing. I'll wait for that person to move because they look like they might be a leader. Yeah, I'm going to wait, because whether we like it or not, society still, and human beings, there's a psychological thing where we like to follow the crowd, a lot of us. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it's it's something that's safe. It's like when you go into a car park and maybe it's an empty car park and you park your car and then another car comes in and they'll park right beside you. It's just psychology. People like to, be together and do things together. So it's like waiting for the sign. And what Metatron's saying is, don't you realise that everybody else is actually looking at you as well, waiting for you to move? So those two groups. The third group, which is less of us, are the ones that take the key and say, thank God, into the lock, out we go. And then, he's saying, slam the door on the way out and don't look back. So that's just a little thing for you to ponder today. And you've got to be really brutally honest with yourself, because it's easy to think, if I was just magically given the key to transform everything that's wrong, of course I would. Think about that, would you? You would eventually, is what I'm hearing, but it's as though, are you ready? So that whole thing about soulmates, I find that quite amusing. There's a lot of richness coming from my last weekend. Let's use the fire dragon spray, as it is Dragon Day, and I guess I need to honour that. I'm sounding as though I don't like the dragons. I do. I love the dragon energy, actually. Let's go for the orange one. Well, they're taking me straight back to the times of the dinosaurs. They're talking about the dinosaurs. They're talking about the age of dinosaurs. And can you imagine what it must have been like to be alive during the time of the dinosaurs roaming this earth? Huge creatures with power and strength. And you didn't mess with them, They could swoop down from above. They could just come at you from the ground level. Big, scary animals. Anyone that's watched Jurassic Park knows that. But one day, they just suddenly weren't here anymore. The reasons for that we don't need to go into. I'm not talking about we're about to be hit by a meteorite or anything like that. I'm talking about evolution. That's what the dragon energy is bringing in. That everything evolves. Back to what I was talking about these big names that are going to be exposed, big events that are coming in. At the end of the day, you look at it at the moment, you think, no, that's not possible. It's not possible to change society that much. Society has always been run on these sort of rules and in this sort of way. It's just going to keep jogging on. It doesn't. There are these moments in history which change everything. And I feel as though we're coming up to one of those times. And some of the dinosaurs that have been roaming our planet for the last few hundred years, I'm talking here about an energy, a certain type of person. And it does feel more masculine than feminine, to be perfectly honest. Some of these male dinosaurs, they're going to be dying out. They're either going to be dying out or they're going to be exposed for what they are. And then that will be a lesson for us as light workers in terms of, okay, well, how do we then deal with that? Then we start to bring in the energy of Christ, forgiveness, repentance for sins. None of this is going to be an easy ride at all, but it is what's coming in. So, interesting times, my friends, interesting times. We've got the new moon in Libra coming up on Monday, haven't we? And then I think there's a Sun-Pluto conjunction on the 12th. It's a big week coming up. I feel as though we need to be nurturing ourselves this weekend. I've got a little bit of work to do, but then I'm going to do some nurturing. I went to bed early last night, needed that. There's a bug doing the rounds at the moment. I don't know whether you've had it or whether you've got it, but it's happening to a lot of people, a lot of light workers as well. yeah, actually a lot of light workers are getting it. And it feels like the bug that comes in around Christmas and New Year, but it's coming in early for some reason. I don't know whether that means we escape it or not. Let's hope so. I can feel it, it's lurking with me. I'm keeping it at bay basically with herbal tonics and trying to look after myself, but I know it's there. I can feel it in my throat. And why I'm bringing it up for discussion is just the fact that if you are unwell at the moment, I'm talking about the flu, the cold, all those sort of bugs, it's definitely about release. Definitely about release. I got a bit choked up by something 2 days ago. It's very personal, so I can't really go into it. It's not something I want to share, but I got quite upset. And you know when you get upset and it goes, well, for me, it goes to my throat. And I could feel it within literally a couple of hours of having got upset, and it was to do with needing to speak my truth on something. Oh, here we go, bingo, the virus comes in to clear it. It's like, if you're not going to say what needs to be said, well, that energy somehow's got to get out of your body. So we're going to bring in something to help you release that. It's not ideal, because really maybe we should be talking about what we need to be talking about, but we're all human. There are all reasons why sometimes we don't say things. That's the hamster behind me. Sorry, the noise. Just really making the point about the hamster wheel and life and the need to escape from that. Oh, I think it needs some water as well. I'll have to go and sort it out in a moment. I'm going to pull one card for you for the weekend. And I'm going to go to a new deck that I've got, which is the Syrian Starseed Tarot. It's a gift from one of you. Thank you, Linda. Let's just pull one card from here, okay? And then I'll leave it at that for the weekend and hope that you have a good one. But yeah, it just feels a bit bonkers. So hang in there. I think I've got these cards upside down. I haven't. One card, Metatron. Which one? That one. That came up before, didn't it? I can't remember what a video I did. It came up before and I didn't properly explain it. I didn't feel. So he's wanting me to relook at that. The card of reason. What's interesting about it is we've got this old man and he's got the 5 platonic solids over his head. So those of you that work with Metatron know about the platonic solids. I teach it in my level 1 course as well. They all link into different chakras and different elements, and they are the building blocks of life. The platonic solids are also within Metatron's cube. So we've got above this old wise man who is also, what's he holding there? Don't know what that's supposed to be that he's holding, but to me, he looks like somebody I know, this guy. There's a guy that I know who runs a herb shop in Bournemouth who is a really wise man, way ahead of his time. He's been doing it for years, knows everything. He's like a sage. He is a sage. He looks like him. But anyway, yeah, so it's linking me to herbs in particular and shamanic ways of healing our body. And that looks almost like something, you know, in church when they swing the incense. That's what I'm picking up from that. But it's got all this beautiful orange light coming from it as well, which feels very Metatronic. The orange light is always about Metatron. And then we've got the building blocks. So he's sitting there and he's what is he doing? He's creating is what he's doing. He's creating. But I want to read the official meaning of the card, reason. So let's just see what it says. It's card number 4. I'm not going to read all of it because my throat's going to go otherwise, but let's just put it up to the camera. From the flowing abundance of the key that precedes it, there is a natural sigue, never heard of that word before, to the key of reason. It's to do with the good father who brings order and structure to the dynamic energies of her creative force. So it comes after the card of the Empress, I guess. He is her complement rather than her polar opposite. To her artistic design, he brings structure. To her unrestrained imagination, he brings reason. To chaos, he brings order. Here is a figure of noteworthy authority. Seated on his throne, he is clearly one to go to for the last word, father to the child, and ruler to the kingdom. In his exalted state, he is solid, powerful, and yet wise and yielding. The potential, however, is there for him to become impatient and controlling. And yeah, then it talks about the Platonic solids, which I've mentioned. So yeah, it's linking in, it's a bit like the Emperor, I suppose, isn't it? I quite like the words that have just come through there from Patricia Corey, because there's a lot that's being said at the moment about these next few weeks. We've got this very strong masculine energy, and I think what it's doing is it's making us question, what's the first thing that comes to mind when we think about masculine dominant figures? Are they loving, or are they cruel? Are they wise, or are they stupid? You know, it's talking about also our relationship with our father. It's talking about our relationship with any dominant masculine energy. And how interesting that Metatron brought that message in at the start of this video, where he was making me talk about the fact that we're at this stage of exposure. There are going to be these figures that we're going to hear about who've done things, and it's from the masculine. It's not so much from the feminine. I'm not saying the feminine is not guilty of other things, but this is the time where there's a purging of the masculine energy, of all that's gone on in the past that's wrong. I'll bring in a political thing here, which is always a bit dodgy in videos because people have very strong opinions on politics. I'm going to bring in Putin, okay? Now, I've looked at Putin before with my work, and I think I said at the time I sit on the fence with Putin, actually. There's a side to him that I quite like. There's a side to him I feel is quite spiritual, but I can also see there is another side to him as well. But again, within the last 24, 36 hours, I don't know if you've seen the news, but there's the perception is, in terms of what's out there in the mainstream media, even if that's not completely accurate, is that he's been caught out, because there's about 4 or 5 Russian spies that have been caught, basically. And I don't know if you saw it, he was on the news a few days ago, Putin. He was absolutely furious. He was furious about them, and he was sort of making out that, you know, they had shamed Russia. Who knows the truth? This is the whole point. This is what I'm saying. The whole world is bonkers. What do you believe? What do you believe anymore? The only way that you can actually know the truth is to go within and to actually be the epitome of the masculine, when they are structured, but in a good way, when they have order, but in a good way, when they are wise, when they are strong, but it hasn't tipped over into anything else negative. So that's a card that's coming through for the weekend's energy, and I guess also for the new moon in Libra. What is Libra? It's the scales. It's balancing things out. So what needs to be balanced out at the moment in our world is the masculine energies, not just in the collective, but within ourself. What's your relationship with your own masculine side? How is that doing? Is it healthy or is it not? And if it's not, well, needing to take steps to look at that. Healing the relationship with men in your life, whether they be your husbands, your brothers, your uncles, your fathers, your boss. What's been the pattern? Look at that. It's all coming up to be healed. So, interesting times. Let's end with the dragon again. And we'll go with the gold dragon now. They smell exactly the same, actually. It's just, I like the fact they're in different colours. As the hamster kicks in. Yeah, it's almost like the message is animals big and small, they're all worthwhile. That one wants its water, so I'm going to have to go, guys. But there's just this message coming in about I'm being shown big and small. So it's almost as though, again, take it onto the political and the collective stage, whether you are a big fish or whether you're a small little tiddler, everybody is as important as everybody else. And it's almost as though the tiddler in the pond, they are rising to the top, and the days of the old dinosaurs are coming to a close. On that note, I'm going to go and sort the hamster out. Much love to everybody. Speak to you again soon. Bye for now.